This is my copy of Daredevil #1, and it's in low grade, but it's okay. I don't need to upgrade this one. Pretty happy with what I've got. This is a really nice copy. I have a couple more copies. I have one that is actually signed on the inside by Roy Thomas. I got that from Heritage Auctions. It's raw, but I don't think I want to get it slabbed. I think I like just keeping that one raw. This was my first copy. I had a second copy of this book in a 6.5 CBCS that I got rid of in a trade to get my top book in my collection that you shall see later. You can watch my other video when I talk about what I got rid of. Just a beautiful book, beautiful cover. I can't say anything more about this one. I love the Silver Surfer 4. I picked this up from Erod during New York Warriors Tuesday night auction, and glad to add a graded copy. I have two raw ones, but really happy to have this one. This one I added sometime last year, so enough said. I showed this book in my collection from last year, my top 50 books. It was raw. I got it. I sent it off to Rocket Comics to get pressed and graded. Came back 8.0 white pages. It's the 30-cent price variant for Eternals #1, and I don't know if this happened when it was at CGC. Because I don't remember this being there before. Let's see. At the very top, just above the Marvel, there's some creasing that the grader's notes comment on. Otherwise, it's a pretty sharp book. But I'm happy. I like it. It's good. I may actually get rid of that one when the movie comes. And then Dave Stevens just doesn't get enough credit. I've picked up a few more of his books, but I got this one on the cheap, and you may notice it, as I'm 99% sure this is the one that Adam Hughes did an homage to for The Dirty Pair. This is another book I sent off to Rocket Comics. The seller told me he thought it was fine, and clearly it's not. And I believe it got dinged pretty hard for some staining on they say on the front cover that I can't tell, but that's okay. I think this is a pretty cool cover. I love this cover too. Adam Hughes perfection. This is a book I bought when I was a kid. I think I paid $5 for it. It is the Canadian price variant. When I started collecting and started sending some books into CGC, I did not get them cleaned or pressed. This one definitely could benefit from a clean and a press, but as a book from my childhood, I just wanted to preserve it, so I don't really care too much about the grade because it's not one I really ever plan on selling. So you'll see this cover on a lot of other collections, and the first time I really actually read this book, or I guess I read the digital copy of it, was Reggie Simmons from Reggie Collects I think he highlighted this book and talked about how it is when Peter Parker he matures, grows up, and by the end of the book he's got a certain swagger. And it's true, he had some adversity, he overcame that adversity, and he came out standing tall. So it was a really good book. I don't need to say anything more about that. Don't need to explain why that's on this list. This is another book that I bought it graded, got it at a decent price, and it does not look like it's been cleaned or pressed, and could definitely benefit from that. I had a 7.5 CBCS one that I traded, and I was okay doing that since I still had this copy, and I feel like this copy could definitely benefit and get a grade bump if I ever decide to have it cracked out. This book is yet another book I sent to Rocket Comics, and the story behind this is I was at a small show in a hotel convention center, and the seller, he only had probably 3 or 4 books he was selling. He had an ASM 300. He had this book. I can't remember what the other ones were. And then he was sitting with his friend that also had, I think, a long box, and I didn't even look at the long box. I was heading out of the show. I took a look at the book. He was asking way too much for it, and I could tell he really wanted to sell the book. He asked, well, what would I give him for it? I gave him a price. He said, all right, I'll sell it to you. And I thought it was probably a 2, maybe a 2.5, but came back a 3.5, and I think it's properly graded. I don't think this one was overgraded. It's got a lot of creases on it, a lot of spine wear, but it's complete and it's unrestored, so turned out to be a nice pickup. And this is another one that needs no introduction. So, all right, let's move along.